Ladies and gentlemen, it's a big, weird, wild world out there, folks, and here we stand. Al pie del cañón, ready for anything. I'm Rob, and you're listening to
The ProBoh Show!
Good morning, everyone. Welcome. You're listening to The ProBoh Show, almost live at 8:30 a.m. Central European Time, right here in Madrid, where we broadcast the show. If you're listening to this on analog radio, you're actually a day or at least half a day behind. We will broadcast this today on this beautiful Wednesday, 5th of July. We'll broadcast it on Vaughan Radio, but of course we do it live in the morning from my home studio, and the lucky few of you that are here to join us live will get to participate in all our topics. How do you participate? Well, it's very simple, friends. You go to twitch.tv/professional bohemian. That's twitch.tv/bohemio profesional, pero en inglés. Of course, just like the vast majority of you can also interact with the show on my Instagram, which is @professionalbohemian. Or, in fact, if you're extra specially cool and sexy and charming and handsome, well, you can join us on my Patreon, where you get access to all the VODs, enhanced quality when I'm at home because I have better camera and sound equipment. So enjoy that if you have access to it. As well as that, on my Patreon, you get access to a lot of original series, as well as the votes for our topics of the coming weeks. All right, all that said, let's see who's joining us live. We have Mike here. He says, good morning, dear Bohemian. Seems like people are getting ready for the eclipse. Yeah. Where is everybody this morning, Mike? It's just me, you, Eugene Con from South Africa, and Vero. So let's continue. Eugene says, hi, guys. How are you doing, Eugene? Con is here from South Africa. He says, yo. How's it going, Con? Welcome. And Vero says, good morning, beautiful Bohemians around the universe and beyond. Yesterday, I went to buy 2 pairs of glasses for the eclipse, and now I don't know if they will work. They are made of plastic. What isn't made of plastic nowadays, you know? Been student teaching for the past 2 weeks. This is exhausting, not going to lie. We need more people like you in the world, Con. More people dedicated to teaching and filling young minds. So we applaud you here. We love that. All right, should we get into what we're going to talk about today? Mike says they're giving glasses for the eclipse for free at the Science Museum in Madrid. But apparently we're not going to see it in Madrid. Is that right? Are we not going to see it in Madrid? I need to talk to my beloved later and see if we can catch a train somewhere where we can see it. I want to see the damn eclipse, man. I want to see it. I don't want to see it like Trump did with his naked eyes. Or his bare eyes. I want to see it with glasses. Some parts of Madrid, like Valdebebas. I said Valdebebas, which is Valley of the Drool. Valdebebas, thank you. Okay, that's good. I wonder if is that more than a metro away? I could probably get the Cercanías, which is our local train service, to go and see it. But yeah, that's on the 12th, I believe. Anyway, enough of me waxing lyrical about all of that. Let's get into today's topics. Today we're talking about power. Poder, not la luz, okay? We asked 100 humans today to name a job that power-hungry people or a power-hungry person might desire. Nombra un trabajo que podría desear una persona ansiosa de poder. Is that how you would say power-hungry in Spanish? I think so. That's what the elves say anyway. And today's unpopular opinion, again, Instagram is very biased on this one. Hopefully I can swing you a little bit. Today's unpopular opinion is most people would abuse power if given enough of it. Most people would abuse power if given enough of it. La mayoría de la gente abusaría del poder si tuviera suficiente. Most people would abuse power if given enough of it. Vero says hambriento de poder, which is a literal translation, right, of power hungry. I'll put that in my notes, Vero. All right. Should we get into some news today? I think we probably should, shouldn't we? Today in the news, do you remember years ago? I think it was years ago when I think it was a certain car manufacturer, not sure if it was BMW, were debating whether to put advertisements on the screens in the dashboard of their cars. And we decried this because, you know, this is literally advertising to people on a product that they already own. Well, guess what? BMW are here. BMW is putting Spider-Man ads on your dashboard after promising it never would. BMW está, or BMW, is that what the way you guys say it? I know you tend to read a lot of abbreviations. BMW está poniendo anuncios de Spider-Man en su salpicadero, después de prometer que nunca lo haría. BMW has sparked controversy by introducing a Spider-Man themed animation on dashboards, on the dashboard screens of certain vehicles, as part of a limited time promotion tied to the film Spider-Man Brand New Day. Running from the 27th of July to the 10th of August across more than 70 markets, the feature appears when drivers start their cars, displaying a banner that can launch a full-screen animation with music and lighting effects. While BMW frame this as a one-off partnership rather than a permanent shift, the move effectively turns the car's central display into an advertising platform, something the company had previously said it would not do. If this is not one of the most late-stage capitalism piece of news you've ever heard, or pieces of news, geez Louise, let's learn some English first. This is essentially advertising to you on a product you already own. It's funny, we call BMW BMW. Ah, really? You call it BMW, W. BMW. Thank you, Vero. You're going to get... Let me see if I can find this.
Será posible? Vaya nivelazo.
Vaya nivelazo to you, Vero. That's for you. You don't share it with no one. The backlash stems from the fact that these ads appear inside a product customers already own, challenging the idea of the car as a private ad-free space. Yeah, I mean, how long until your Google Dot, or whatever the hell it is, the assistant that lives inside your home, starts recommending things to you because Google has made a partnership? Oh, there's something so malicious about this. Weren't we talking about IoT yesterday, the Internet of Things? How manufacturers started cramming screens into every possible device so your toaster can tell you what the temperature is outside. And we don't want it. We never asked for it. I didn't ask for my washing machine to have a personality. But doesn't it spark the idea that perhaps in the future, in our electrodomesticos, in our appliances at home, we might start seeing ads for things? It just makes me so sad. Critics point to BMW's earlier stance in 2003 when an executive explicitly rejected the idea of selling in-car screen space for commercials. Although this campaign differs from past monetization efforts, like heated seat subscriptions, it reflects a broader trend of using connected car technology to generate revenue after purchase. Ultimately, the promotion highlights a growing tension between automakers' commercial ambitions and drivers' expectations of ownership and privacy. I mean, the idea of ownership, I think, is evolving in society anyway, isn't it? I mean, it used to be unthinkable not to own your car, your means of transport, your own home. I mean, my grandparents, the idea of renting and raising a family in a rented home would have been alien to them. Or renting a car to travel from A to B. Or a bicycle. And it seems to be, or even their media, look at this. Like even your movies and music. I mean, you used to own all that. And slowly but surely, society is shifting, isn't it? Our opinion or our motivations, our view of ownership is shifting towards a model where we own less and we rent more. I mean, we even rent the music we listen to, the movies we watch, the cars we drive, the houses we live in quite often nowadays. Even the rents are spectacularly high now. So is this the idea that you buy a BMW and you don't truly own your own attention in that BMW? Is it another aspect of the attention economy creeping into our everyday lives where we are mined for all the value we are worth? Who knows, friends? Who knows? But BMW, no. I think. On that note, friends, let's go to today's unpopular opinion.
Unpopular opinion.
Okay, today's unpopular opinion, today's brain fart, today's pedo cerebral, pedo mental is... Okay, where are we? Most people would abuse power if given enough of it. La mayoría de la gente abusaría del poder si tuviera suficiente. Most people would abuse power if given enough of it. What do you think? Do you think that's true? I mean, I can give you a brief idea of how our audience on Instagram feels about this one. So I made that statement, and they said 94% true, which is about as close to unanimous as you can get with the amount of people that vote on these polls. But do you think that's true? I mean, I can point to countless examples of power in society that is not abused. I think one of the most common power dynamics in the world is parenting, right? You have absolute and complete power over a child you are raising, and the vast majority of parents are altruistic, kind to their kids. Doctors, an immense power imbalance there. A doctor quite often holds your life in their hands, and the vast majority of doctors, nurses, lawyers act in the benefit of the people that are under them. So there is obviously something missing in this picture, right? Should we get into it? It is true that a true one, 94% of people. So let's get into the pro column. I do see a lot of comments appearing in the chat here. So do continue writing your opinions. We'll get to the vote soon, and obviously in the second part of the show we'll dig into those opinions. So let's go. So in the pro column, agreeing that most people would abuse power if given enough of it. Power removes the consequences that restrain behavior. Many people behave well partially because other people can punish, reject, expose, or resist them. As power grows, those restraints weaken. A person who no longer fears meaningful consequences may gradually permit themselves behavior they once condemned. This is a really dim view of society and people to me. The fear of punishment is not the only source of morality, is it? People can be guided by empathy, conscience, principle, the desire to see themselves as decent, even when no one can stop them. Right? I mean, I think we forget what a powerful motivator seeing yourself as a decent person is. I mean, didn't we talk about selfishness the other day and come to this conclusion? People are skilled at redefining abuse as necessity. Few people think of themselves as villains. They describe secrecy as protection, coercion as leadership, favoritism as loyalty, and silencing opponents as preserving stability. Power makes abuse especially likely because it gives people both the means to act selfishly and the authority to rename that selfishness as responsibility. Again, hard to argue against this one. We've been discussing this week as we talk about human nature, how brilliant the human brain is at reframing our behavior as morally just, even when it's not, right? No one would describe themselves as selfish, closed-minded. No one would think themselves a villain in their own story. But difficult leadership genuinely requires decisions that appear harsh to those affected, right? Calling every unpopular or unequal use of authority rationalized abuse can make responsible power impossible to distinguish from tyranny. And again, I want you to think about the example I gave as parents. Quite often as a parent, you have to tell your child that they can't do a thing that would be bad for them. Don't touch the plug socket. Now, to that kid, that may at that moment appear like tyranny, but all you're doing is protecting them from harm. Is this an unpopular opinion where it depends from what side of the fence you are viewing it? Let's do another point here in the pro column. Power gradually challenges what feels deserved. Once people receive special treatment, obedience, or privilege, they quickly begin to experience it as normal. Losing those advantages then feel like injustice rather than a return to equality. This sense of entitlement can turn temporary authority into something a person believes they naturally deserve. Yeah, I mean, this is evident among people with extreme privilege, right? You know, they lose that powerful CEO position and it feels unjust to them because now they have to go into working conditions that most of us would consider normal. But, and again, to offer some kind of a rebuttal here to this idea, some people remain conscious that power is borrowed, right? Not everybody believes that they are entitled to some special or preferential treatment. A lot of people understand that power is borrowed. It's conditional. It's attached to a role. Institutions, cultural norms, and personal humility can prevent privilege from becoming attached to your identity. And I know we can always point to people where that's not the case, right? We can point to those people. Elon Musk is a good example of this. But I think they are perhaps the exception to the rule. I think that's why they stick out in our thoughts. Perhaps. Let's do one more in the pro column. Power insulates people from corrective feedback. Subordinates often soften bad news, laugh at weak jokes, and avoid challenging someone who controls their future. The powerful person therefore receives an increasingly distorted picture of their own judgment and popularity. Abuse may begin not with cruelty, but with no longer encountering honest resistance. And you can see this play out in government, can't you? I mean, again, not to invoke the Orange Man, but he has surrounded himself by sycophants, leading himself to believe that, wow, he's just the best. Trump is right about everything. And as is playing out in the polls in the US right now, he's becoming increasingly unpopular. Donald Trump is less popular than the movie Madame Web, and if you've seen how crap that movie is, you would understand how big a deal that is. Anyway, and to offer some kind of a rebuttal to this, good leaders can deliberately create protected channels for criticism, right? The suggestion box, for example, or even asking your team to give you feedback, right? Feedback sessions, not just for the team, but for you as a leader. Insulation is a risk of power, not an unavoidable outcome, right? And a good leader understands that. Should we do one more in the pro column? Why the hell not? I'm enjoying offering rebuttals to these. Some people apply moral rules unevenly when self-interest is involved. Most people can identify corruption, hypocrisy, and unfairness clearly when someone else benefits. When they themselves gain status, money, or control, exceptions suddenly appear more reasonable. Enough power provides endless opportunities to treat personal advantage as a special case. But again, I mean, human beings are also capable of recognizing conflicts of interest and recusing themselves, right? Jimmy Carter and his peanut farm. Do you know this story? The American president who he distanced himself from his own peanut farm, so people didn't think he would make decisions that would benefit him financially. Remember when American presidents did things like that? Human beings are also capable of recognizing these conflicts, is the point, right? Ethical systems exist precisely because people can anticipate their own bias and choose to limit it. And I think denying that paints a very dim view of society. Now let's get into the cons, los contras, where, as you may tell, or as you can probably tell where I'm sitting on this one, it's only 6% of people on Instagram voted false, so let's see what they're thinking. Power reveals character as much as it changes it. Power gives people greater freedom to express traits that are already present. A generous person may become more generous, a protective person more protective, and an insecure person more controlling. Abuse may therefore tell us more about a particular individual than about humanity as a whole. I don't know about you, friends, but I would never want to be a CEO. I would never want to be a military leader. I would never want to be a policeman. I would never want to be a president, a military general, a judge, a king or a queen. You know, I would never want to wield that much power over people. Is it the fact that maybe corruptible individuals, there is something about that corruptibility and the desire, the power hungriness, as Vero said, give us a great translation then, hambriento de poder, power hungry people gravitate towards roles that will give them that power rather than the power corrupting. It's the corrupting influence that's attracting people. Maybe. Many people do not actually want unlimited control, going to that point. Power brings scrutiny, responsibility, difficult decisions, and the possibility of blame. Plenty of people prefer cooperation, privacy, and manageable obligations to domination. Given power, they may delegate it or limit its use rather than exploit it. I imagine a lot of you are just like me. You don't want that kind of responsibility. Not because you fear being corruptible, simply because you don't want to control people. You don't want to be in a position where their futures are in your hands. Empathy can survive authority. People do not stop recognizing others as humans simply because they gain control. Parents, teachers, managers, judges, community leaders often exercise substantial power while trying sincerely to protect those who depend on them. In fact, the roles themselves, right, are about, although they wield immense power like a teacher or a parent or a manager, they wield great power, but they're in the hands of people who care, who act, or at least you would hope act in the vast majority of cases, in the benefit of the people that they are protecting. Let's do one more. Greater influence gives people the ability to solve problems they previously could only observe. Some people respond by becoming more conscientious because the consequences of their own choices now matter more. Power can activate duty rather than selfishness. Which I at least hope that was the case of me when I was put into a management position. You know? Because you're forced to act more morally. You're in a position where your decisions will have an impact on people outside your sphere of love, for the want of a better word. People that are not your friends or family. People that have a stake in your success. So you have to initiate or activate a sense of duty to those people. So power, as well as, in some cases, I would argue lesser so, may corrupt people, but it would also, in a lot of cases, people who don't want necessarily that power, it will activate a sense of duty. Checks, transparency, shared authority, term limits, and enforceable rules reduce the opportunity for abuse as well. All right, you can't be the prime minister of, in the majority of cases, or leader of a country for over 4 or 5 years before it triggers another election. People don't exercise power in a vacuum, right? And well-designed systems can encourage ethical conduct, even when motives are mixed. I think that is probably where I will leave it. Is this debate about morality, wherever morality comes from, character or constraint? I would argue it's a character. I put in a person's character. I think constraint, right? The idea that rules and limits are keeping people from behaving badly. I think that paints a very dim view of society. Most people may not dream of becoming tyrants, but abuse rarely begins as tyranny, does it? Because we have seen it happen in the world. So what do you think? Well, I'll tell you what I will do, friends. I will post a poll in the chat and you will tell me. Most people would abuse power if given enough of it. La mayoría de la gente abusaría del poder si tuviera suficiente. True or false? Again, I will post that poll, friends, and you will tell me. I will take a very quick 5-minute break, and when we come back, we'll read your comments, some excellent comments in the chat, and we'll try and come to some kind of a conclusion. Guys, thank you for being here this morning. I'll see you in a few short minutes. Hey guys, if you'd like to support the show, you can do so on Patreon. That's patreon.com/professional bohemian. There you'll find VODs of the episodes as they are recorded live, blogs, vlogs, and behind the scenes content. If you'd like to watch the show live, you can do so on twitch.tv/professional bohemian, and you can participate in the polls we use in the show on Instagram @professional bohemian or Twitter @ProBoh, ProBoh. Okay, on with the show. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. You're joining us live at 9 a.m. Central European Time. I'm Rob, and this is the ProBoh Show. If you've just tuned in, what did you miss? Well, we were talking about BMW backtracking. There's an interesting piece of vocabulary. They said they would do something and then did the opposite. They backtracked on a decision not to put advertisements on the dashboard screens of their cars. This piece of news is about how they're putting Spider-Man adverts on your dashboard after promising they wouldn't. Interesting article from TechSpot. Obviously, I will post that in my Patreon for you guys to peruse at your convenience. Anyway, and then we moved on to today's unpopular opinion, which is, it's a good one today, I think, an interesting one, which is most people would abuse power if given enough of it. La mayoría de la gente abusaría del poder si tuviera suficiente. But how can that be? How can that be when we see so many examples of power dynamics, uneven power dynamics, where the result of those power dynamics is so much so in the benefit of the person being like with less power? I mean, here I'm thinking about parents, teachers, doctors. I mean, I suppose the unpopular opinion is whether given enough of it. I think this is an interesting debate, not because it's about the power dynamics, but it's about whether morality comes from character or constraint. Where does that morality come from? Is it because some people are just moral individuals, or is it because everyone's an asshole and the constraint keeps us all behaving well? I think that's the debate. I think we prefer to believe that our behaviour reflects who we truly are, yet much of ordinary decency may depend on living among people who can challenge it. Leave us, expose us, or deny us what we want. Power tests whether a person's principles remain intact when those external limits disappear. Right? The issue is complicated because abuse does not always feel selfish to the person committing it. I think that's the crux of the issue. And abuse quite often isn't abuse of power. Let me add of power, that tag onto there, because again, I'll give you the example I gave you before. A parent would insist that a child doesn't touch the oven, not to limit the child's freedom, but because the child will hurt itself. And it doesn't have the capacity to know what the results of its action. Power expands a person's ability to shape reality, including the story told about their own actions, I think. think that's where the corruption may lay. They may sincerely believe that they alone understand the situation and that opposition is irresistible, or that normal rules should not apply because their mission is unusually important. There is also a distinction between having power and possessing unchecked power, right? Authority can be necessary for leadership, care, justice, and collective action. I think the danger grows when one person controls both the decision and the definition of whether that decision was legitimate. The question is therefore not merely whether good people exist, okay, because I think we can all agree that they do. It's whether goodness can remain reliable without opposition, accountability, or the possibility of being told no. So there it is, I think. A moral character has never faced that test, or that has never really faced that test. Maybe less proven than it appears. I mean, again, it's easy to be a moralistic person when your decisions really don't impact anyone other than yourself, right? So is it true that most people would abuse power if given enough of it? La mayoría de la gente abusaría del poder si tuviera suficiente. Our Instagram is clear on this one. They said 94% true. I think they're missing a bit of the puzzle. Let's get into some of your ideas here, because you did have some great comments. I have to do a little scrolling, forgive me. Okay, Vero says, true, power corrupts and is addictive. The more you have, the more you want. Anyone who has access to power will do anything in their hands to gain more or to ensure that others have less. Yeah, I think we can point to examples of that, having tyrannical governments, things like that. But we see power dynamics at play every single day. You know, our managers, our bosses, our parents, our doctors, our teachers. And the vast majority of those people with power over us do not abuse it. Is it that they're not given enough power? Is that what restrains them? Is that what keeps them morally just? I think it paints a pretty dim picture of us as humans, doesn't it? If we agree that that's the case. Gigi says false. Power doesn't corrupt people. It attracts people who already want to control others. When someone who doesn't have those motives gets power, they usually use it responsibly. Yeah. I kind of agree with that sentiment. I think it's more the case that people who are power hungry gravitate towards certain roles where the power dynamics shift very much in their favor. Politicians, CEOs, presidents. Didn't we see? We did a piece of news, right? That was a psychological study into CEOs, and they are the ratio of sociopathic or psychopathic CEOs. There is a greater chance you'll have a sociopathic CEO than a sociopathic, or you'll encounter a sociopathic CEO than you will encounter a sociopathic person on the street, because they gravitate towards roles that wield power. You know, who would want to be the president, a military general, a police chief, judge, a king or queen? Who would want to wield that much power, that much responsibility? Here's the thing, people like you and me, we see it as responsibility, right? That's my thought. Would I want to be a politician? Well, the responsibility would be immense. Not for me, thank you. But perhaps a different personality would say, ooh, look at all that power. Yes, please. Which is the reason I think, morality is about character and not really about restraining behavior. Again, just my opinion. And we all know what Grandpa Bo would say about that. Con says, I think people are too narcissistic, generally speaking. I hope people would have the control not to abuse their power. Yeah, me too. And I'm going to be honest with you. I think today, I am adopting the position of hope. I am being, as I naturally am, I think, quite an optimistic type person. I think there are more of us out there that are morally good than morally reprehensible. So I'm kind of with, I would hope, just like Con, people would have the control, the restraint not to abuse their power. And I think the examples of that in society are plentiful. I think those exceptions to the rule spring to mind simply because they are exceptions. But maybe not, because the examples I draw on, I mean, a teacher or, I don't know, a judge or a parent doesn't wield the kind of power that a politician or a CEO or a prime minister or president does. Anyway, because that's today's unpopular opinion. It's not just people would abuse power, everyone would abuse power. It's people would abuse power if given enough of it. Yeah, it's an interesting one. Eugene says, true. Look at some politicians. Power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts. Absolutely. Oh God, what is the origin of that quote? Shall I do a brief little search, given that I'm at my home studio? Power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts. Absolutely. This famous phrase means that when people get more power, they tend to lose their moral sense, and total unchecked power destroys their goodness completely. It's written by the British historian Lord Acton in a 1887 letter to an Anglican bishop named Mendel Creighton. There you go. Thank you for that, Eugene. Gigi Pond says, as someone said, power attracts the corruptible. Yeah. Or perhaps not the corruptible, but perhaps that corruption already lives within them, right? And that's why they are attracted to that kind of power. That's Gigi there. Mike says, I don't think politicians are uniquely evil people. If most of them get away with breaking rules, it's because people make excuses for their own side, treating politics like football teams. This hypocrisy gives leaders a free pass. That's why they abuse their power. Yeah, Mike, they're making the argument that because their power quite so often goes unchecked, they just simply learn that the rules are different for them. Right? They're not inherently evil, just being trained by society that their poor behavior goes unchecked. I did get some comments on Instagram. Let's read a few of those. Emil writing to us again. I think that's probably true. Power doesn't always corrupt, but it often reveals parts of people that never had the chance to come out before. Yeah, perhaps. Perhaps you're right. Perhaps I'm wrong about this one. But I don't know. I tend to sway towards the idea that people generally are good. Maybe that's a mistake on my part. But I do believe in human morality, that most of us are good people. Just seems to be in the society the way it's constructed now that it's not the cream that rises to the top, is it? You know, it's often the greediest, the more power hungry that rise to the top. And people who crave power are probably the least able to wield it. Or the people that we should avoid having power are the ones that quite often wield it. Laura says, I don't agree. Most people want to do the right thing, even when they're in positions of authority. Yeah, I kind of agree. Most of us want to do the right thing. The problem is what's the right thing? Quite often what's the right thing for you or your circle, your social circle or your family circle may negatively impact those around you. Who's to say who's the villain, really? I mean, those boundaries are never clear, are they, Laura? Or the clearer they are to us, the more obfuscated it is to other people, maybe. Thanks for that. Marco, writing to us again, says, the real test of character isn't how someone behaves without power, it's how they behave once they have it. Yeah. Which I think is why it's so important to have like they do in the States, you're able to see the voting record of people. So you can see how the shifting sands of their moral fiber moves over time. But is it the power that corrupts, or is it corruptible people, are attracted to that power, like Gigi said? Celeste says, power creates temptation. Not everyone gives into it. The systems around leaders matter as much as the individuals themselves. Yeah. I mean, oh God, I hate to invoke the Orange Man, but look at the 2016 presidency compared to this one. There are a lot more checks on Donald Trump's power then than there are now. All right, enough editorializing by me. Let's get to the results of the poll. So I made the statement. Let me just first very quickly check that I'm right here. Yes. Okay. Yeah, the poll finished 10 minutes ago. The results are in. Again, it was 94% true on Instagram. Most people would abuse power if given enough of it. And you guys said 50-50, friends. 50-50. Well done. Yeah, I mean, there is probably... Yeah, I think I'm a lot happier with that. I don't know. I feel like it's easier to point to abuses of power, perhaps because they're perhaps not the most common. But the examples that I draw on responsible use of power, really, if you work in government, or compared to a politician or a military leader or a president or prime minister, the power that a parent or a teacher wields is quite small, isn't it? Most people may not dream of becoming tyrants, but abuse rarely begins as tyranny, does it? It begins when someone decides that their judgment deserves one exception, then another, and eventually exemption from the rules altogether, as Mike was saying. Power does not always corrupt, but enough power can make corruption feel indistinguishable from common sense. The safest response is not to search for people too virtuous to abuse authority, but to ensure that no one becomes powerful enough to stop hearing the word no. And interesting examples of that in world politics right now. But on that note, friends, it's time to go to today's 100 Humans. Oh my God. It was a long walk to work today across snow-capped mountains and through river valleys, and on that walk I encountered 100 humans and I asked them all a question. Today's question was, name a job that power-hungry people or a power-hungry person might desire. Nombra un trabajo que podría desear una persona hambriento de poder, or ansiosa de poder, as thank you, Vero, for that translation. Name a job a power-hungry person might desire. I asked them that question. They gave me those answers. I'm in possession of the top 7 answers. Your job in the audience is to identify those top 7 answers. All right, let's take a look. First of all, thank you, Feno, Kitty, Anakasan, Juan Arreo, Fabian, Pilar, Ivan, Samroth and GP, Athol Dan, Mia, Raj, many of you. Thank you all for interacting on Instagram. It means a lot. All right, let's take a look at our chat. Gigi on fire here. She says, first answer is CEO. Theo, el jefazo. Is CEO there? Yes, it is. Well done. CEO is there with, how many? With 19 of 100 humans. It's the number 2 answer. Well done, Gigi. CEO. Also, here we have prison guard. A prison guard. Is prison guard there? No, it's not. Oh, good answer, though. Let's take a look at our friends on Instagram. Instagram is actually doing an amazing job here. Who's this? BBBIKKKE. Jeez Louise, I'll call you BB. BB says a politician. Annika San on Instagram. Pilar, that's all folks on Instagram. A bunch of people actually on Instagram said a politician. Is politician there? Yes, it is. Well done. Politician is there. 25 of 100 humans said politician, and it's the number one answer. Well done, BBB. Welcome. First time chatter. Do stick around. Mike in the audience, he says a police officer. A police officer. A lot of people say police officer. Fabian says police officer. So does Atheldan on Instagram. Policeman says Fenokitty. Policeman, is it there? I'm going to give it to you. Why not? Actually says police chief here. Like a jefe de policía. But I'll give it to you. Police chief is there. 9 of 100 humans. It's the number 5 most popular answer. Well done, well done. Vero, this is a good one. Vero says a religious leader. A religious leader. A job a power-hungry person might desire. Again, I don't want to get people... The last time I spoke about religion was the time that I got my death threat. So I want to remain healthy to see the eclipse at least. I guess it depends on the religious leader, but is religious leader there? Something, a job that a power-hungry person might desire. Is it there? No, it's not. It's a good answer, though. It's a good answer. Think to all those sad cult kind of followers that lost their lives there. Very good. Police officer, religious leader. Mike says a headmaster. You said that is the translation for that jefe de cole? Jefe de colegio? Or director de colegio, a headmaster or headmistress. Is headmistress or headmaster there? No, it's not. Director de colegio. Look at that. Director says Jerry. Says Gigi. Thank you. Look at that. My translation was on fire. I should give myself a nivelazo.
ProBoh approved.
Oh, ProBoh approved. Whatever. All right, let's take a look at our friends on Instagram. Ivan GP says the president of a country. President of a country. El presidente or a primer ministro, prime minister. Is a president there? Yes, it is. Well done, friends. On fire. President is there. It's the third most popular answer, with 17 of 100 humans. You have 3 more answers yet to get, 2 of which have been identified on Instagram. One of which, let's dig in right now. Fenokitty says military. Military. Let's take that in the same direction as we did with the police, right? Like a military general, a military leader is a general militar there, a general, a military general. Is it there? Yes, it is. Well done. That was again Fenokitty on fire, one of our Instagram listeners. Thank you for that. By the way, friends, you don't only have to listen to the show on the radio. You can also listen on any good podcast directory. We are there. So do click follow. It means a lot when you do. And when you like the post and share it, for example. Okay. I said it, religious leader, because CEO and politician were already picked, says Vero. No problem. And I get a nivelazo from Mike. Thank you, Mike. All right. Also on Instagram, where was it? Fenokitty as well said a judge. With a job that a power-hungry person might desire. A judge. Is a judge there? Yes, it is. Well done. Look at you. Juez is there. Judge is there with 8 of 100 humans. It's the number 6 answer. There is just one answer left to get, and I am wondering if I can prompt you this answer. It's the reason I made the distinction between president and primer ministro. These are people who wielded a lot of power, but more in the past. a hereditary role? It's a tough one. It's a tough one. What do you think? A role that is hereditary. You're not voted into this power. Mike has an answer. Let's see. Shall we rip the band-aid off? Gigi has an answer. Both of them say king. Vero says king or queen. Is king or queen? Rey, reina. Is it there? Mike says king, queen. Well done. Is it there? Yes, it is. Look at you guys. Oh! On fire, friends. You're absolutely on fire. Yes, king or queen is there. It's the 7th most popular answer, with 6 of 100 humans saying king or queen. Well done, guys. For the 3rd time this week, you've completed today's 100 humans. And by the way,
¿Será posible? Vaya nivelazo.
For Mike, who says a monarch. Well done. Vero says 3 out of 3. We are the best. Yes, you are. Look at that. We've got the cream of the crop in our live audience today. Well done, well done. All right, should we go through the list? I think we should. All right. So I asked 100 humans to name a job. Nombra un trabajo. I don't think king or queen is a job, is it? Well, I suppose they do in some way get paid. But anyway. Name a job that a power-hungry person might desire. Nombra un trabajo que podría desear una persona ansiosa or hambriento de poder. In position number 7, we had a king or a queen. Well done, guys. Rey, reina. In position number 6, we had a judge. Juez. 8 of 100 humans said judge. In position number 5, we had a police chief. Jefe de policía. 9 of 100 humans said that. In position number 4, with 14 of 100 humans, we had a military general, general militar. In position number 3, we had president, and I added prime minister, primer ministro or presidente, president or prime minister. 17 of 100 humans said that. In position number 2, we had CEO, Theo. Well done for those of you who got that one. And finally, in position number 1, politician, with 25 of 100 humans. All right, guys, that's where I'm going to leave you today. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll be back again tomorrow with another one of your voted unpopular opinions. Guys, see you next time.